Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I've got some fun DIY home decor crafts coming your way today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Today we'll be working on Rustic Farmhouse Fall Home Decor Crafts. So let's get started with project number 1. For this project, I'm using some fabrics. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. It's kind of like a corduroy fabric. Got it on sale at 40% off, so very affordable. Picked this up at Hobby Lobby as well. Nice kind of plaid pattern. This is from Walmart. And then this is just a felt I got from Hobby Lobby. I wanted an orange color. It was all they had, but it's not going to be seen anyway. But I thought, I could still do stuff with it. And then this green stripe I picked up at Hobby Lobby, but I end up changing it to something else. So for a cute pumpkin pillow today, I didn't create a pattern for you because this is really simple. Your main pillow shape is 13 inches wide by 16 inches tall. Your pumpkin shape, which is just basically an oval, is 7 inches wide by 10 3/4 inches tall. And the oval's just a little bit more narrow at the top. And basically I just folded a piece of cardstock in half and cut an oval shape. Really easy. And then the little stem, it's just, create a little stem here. It's really easy, whatever shape you want. It's just a little over 3 inches tall, about a little over 1.5 inches wide. Now this next part is optional. I use the felt to create some thickness in the stem and pumpkin pieces. So basically I just trace the stem and pumpkin piece and I cut it about a 1/2 inch shorter all the way around for the felt pieces, okay? And you'll see better what I mean here in just a minute. So for my fabric pieces, this part here is not optional. It's the main pillow. You need to cut 2 of them. For the pumpkin, you'd only really need to cut 1. The stem, you can cut 1, and you can even cut 1 of the felt. But I cut 2 of the stem and the pumpkin pieces and the felt because I wanted the thickness and I wanted to sandwich the felt in between my fabric pieces. I'm going to start off with Beacon Fabric Tack Glue here. Those of you that are gluers, you can follow this step, of course, and I am going to glue my felt in between my 2 fabric pieces. Now you can just use 1 piece of felt here. You don't have to use any felt. You can just glue 1 piece of fabric for your pumpkin onto your main pillow base. This is just for thickness, okay? So I'm gluing both my felt pieces in between my 2 fabric pieces of my main pumpkin. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the stem. Again, you can use 1 piece of felt, 2 pieces of felt, no felt. You just kind of decide how you want to do it. So here I'm going to get my stem put together. And then if you are a gluer, you want to make sure you glue down the sides around your felt if you're using felt in between your layers. And then go ahead and glue your stem in the top of your pumpkin and then go ahead and glue down the edges of your pumpkin around that felt. All right. And then if you're a gluer, you want to make sure your kind of pumpkin is centered side to side, left to right, top to bottom, and go ahead and glue that pumpkin down onto 1 piece of your main pillow base, okay? I'm going to go ahead and glue my stem in, top of my pumpkin here, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of spot glue my pumpkin down to the center of my main pillow base fabric here, because I want to add a little hand stitching for some fun. So this is optional. If you're a gluer, you might want to do this as well, but if you're not, you don't have to do any of this. So I usually say I'm going to use crochet thread from Walmart, but I found this thin acrylic yarn at Dollar Tree, and it's very similar to the crochet thread, and it actually comes in black and white. So I'm going to use the black from Dollar Tree as my crochet thread for this pillow. And you'll need to either use yarn darner needles or doll needles because they have a bigger eye hole. Yarn darner needles have 7 needles in the pack. The doll needles have 5. 1 pack is a little bit taller needles. It really doesn't matter. You just kind of want that larger eye hole to get this thread through. So whatever one you choose, at Walmart, they're like $1 something a pack. So go ahead and start out with a nice long piece of thread it through your needle and not one end because you have like 2 ends hanging off your needle, just not one end, okay? Don't put 2 ends together. And you're just going to use the piece of fabric that your pumpkin's on. So take the other piece out. And then you're going to start at the back of your pumpkin at the stem. We're going to start on the stem first, and you're just going to pull that thread and needle all the way through till you reach the end of your knot, for those of you that don't know how to hand sew. Okay, pulling it all the way through, and then you're just going to come through about a 1/4 inch away from where your thread came out, and you're going to poke it back through from the front to the back and pull it all the way through, and you've just made a stitch. Now on the back side, you can see here, we're going to come back through again about a 1/4 inch away, poke your needle through to the front side, and you're going to pull it all the way through. Okay, then poke your needle from the front to the back side, again just about a 1/4 inch away. Poke it through and pull it all the way through till your thread comes to the end. Again, from the back to the front, pull it all the way through. Again, 1/4 inch apart, front to the back, pulling it all the way through. You can see here better on the back side that we've got our little stitches. Okay, I'll turn this here and you can see the little stitches starting here. And we're going to take it all the way around the stem and all the way around the pumpkin. So you can see here on the back side, I've got some nice little stitches coming around. I'm coming to the other side of the end of my stem here. I just kind of wanted to show you. So when you come to the end of your stem and you go to poke your needle back through, now we're going to poke it right onto the pumpkin part of our fabric. Okay, so we're just continuing around basically here. So when I poke this back through here, same thing as we've been doing. Now we're on the pumpkin part of our fabric. Right, and so now you should have this down 1/4 inch apart, front to the back, pull it all the way through, back to the front, pull it all the way through. And again, like I say, do this all the way around, okay? And it just makes a cute little stitch, little country cute stitch. Again, it's optional whether you are a sewer or a non-sewer. If you're a sewer, you may want to sew around your pumpkin, but you might want to do it with the sewing machine. Whatever you like, that's what you do. I just thought it would be cute. Now, I could have done like that blanket stitch all the way around, but I thought I would just do straight stitches all the way around and just give it, a little bit funner personality. But I do like how this turns out with the straight stitch. So again, all the way around, I'll meet you back here coming to the top, and here we are already. I'm going to make my last little stitch. It's kind of hard getting it through all the thickness of this fabric. I kind of push it down on the table to get my needle through. It's just only when you're coming through the stem and the pumpkin together. But then I can pull it through. So I'll get that last little stitch done, and then we're just going to close it off on the back. Those of you, of course, that, are beginners, want to do the sewing. All right. So when I come to the back side here, and I don't care if some of my stitches are wonky or straight, doesn't matter. It makes it cute. I'm just going to grab a little bit of the fabric here, making sure I don't come through the front. And then I'm going to make like a little loop. I'm going to come to where I've got a little loop and then put my needle through that loop a couple of times, pull it through to make a knot, and then cut off the excess, and you're done. All right, so there's a couple ways to do the main pillow form. You can choose to leave it out in rustic, as I've done before. You all know I've done this before, leaving your edges out. If you're a gluer, you can glue all the way around, leave a little opening and stuff it, and then glue that opening closed. Again, if you're sewers, same thing, but I'm going to hide my edges this time. So you want to turn our right sides together, your pretty side of the fabric together, line up your edges. Okay, we're going to make our edges look nice this time. I know it's very seldom I do this. All right, and then it's basically the same routine. If you're a gluer, you're going to glue all the way around close to the edge, leaving a little 4 or 5 inch opening, so that you can turn your fabric right side out and then stuff it. I'm going to go ahead and pin mine together. I like to double pin here where I'm going to stop and leave that opening. And then I'm going to go ahead and sew about 3 3/4 around. Get that going here. Yeah, you guys know a lot of times I just like that end out. I like the ends to look frayed and distressed and stuff like that. But I thought the distressing that we'll kind of do on the fabric of the pumpkin will give it enough. It'll draw our attention to, that center pumpkin, and then our edges will be all nice and neat. But you can do it any way you want. You can leave it wrong sides together and glue it, or sew it and leave your edges out, or you can do as we're doing here, put the right sides together, and then we'll flip it right side out and then stuff it. Now, if you've opted to do it the way I am doing my pillow and you're all glued or sewn, go ahead and turn your pillow right side out. And, I like to use like a little skewer or something like that to kind of poke my corners out to get them all nice and, I did that off camera, I think, to get them all nice and pointy. And then go ahead and obviously stuff your pumpkin as stuffed full as you want. I like to buy like Walmart pillows. They're around like $3 and like close to $4 to use for my stuffing. It's like the queen size ones because you get a lot more bang for your buck with that than versus buying stuffing in the craft department. Okay, get that stuffed. And then if you are a gluer, we want to close our end up if you did it this way. So fold your ends in toward your stuffing there, and then go ahead and glue that closed. All right. Obviously, if you're a sewer, we're going to do it by hand with a needle and thread. Again, you're going to fold your open ends in toward that stuffing, and just with your needle and thread, just make tiny little stitches up and over those folded ends. You can see how I come here, kind of show it right here, kind of through the two fabrics, pull it through, and then bring your needle up and over to do your next stitch, and do that all the way across till it's closed. So this is what it's done all the way closed. And then I want to come in and I'm just taking my fingernail and I'm just pulling along the edges of the stem and the pumpkin there along the fabric edges so I can fray all those up and, you know, make them look that little bit of rustic look for our farmhouse look. All right, so I told you the stripe material. I decided not to go with that. I'm going with this really kind of pretty sagey dot material I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm just ripping off, 1.5, 2, might be about 2-inch strip of fabric here. Okay, and then I'm going to just tie it in a little knot. See how long I want my little tails to be, and then I'll make a slit and rip that end off. And then I've got, these are kilt pins and a couple of buttons. This kilt pin has been in my stash forever. I know that Walmart carries them, but they're about half the size, or about a 1-inch. This is probably about a 2-inch kilt pin. I'm going to add the buttons to that kilt pin and then put that kilt pin through the center knot of my bow, and then just glue that bow on at the base of my stem. And I'm just going to do a little spot glue so that I can crinkle and wrinkle my bow ends of my ribbon. And then that makes this project complete. Let's move on to project number 2. For this project, I'm going to use this pumpkin from Dollar Tree. A scrap piece of wood will be fine. I'm going to use this tag set also from Dollar Tree, but they do have a square tag set if you want, but I wanted more of a shaped tag, of course. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove everything from the top of this pumpkin. So that's why I say like a piece of scrap wood would work fine here, because I'm going to remove the paper and then cut off that stem basically. First thing I'm going to do, I've got everything sanded and ready to go. I've removed the paper off, is I'm going to take some cardstock paper and I'm going to cut down a piece to fit one side of my sign. It's just about an 1/8 inch shorter all the way around so that my wood will show around the perimeter of my paper. And then I'm going to cut another piece of paper, this orange dot paper I get from Hobby Lobby, to fit the front of my tag shape. Again, I will cut it so that it's about 1/4 inch shorter all the way around. Now you could elect not to use paper at all. Of course, you could just paint your projects. Now the orange cardstock on that bottom base, I end up changing it to a brown cardstock a little bit later, and I'll just cut that off camera. Right, once I get everything fitted here, I'm going to go ahead. I've got a couple of wood shapes here. At the bottom, I will have a link to the Etsy shop. I get these wood pumpkins and leaves from before I got my laser. And then these heart shapes come in a set of 4 from craftingwithkimber.com. Again, I'll have that link down below for you if you need to order them, of course. And then I took both of these shapes and traced it onto some paper here. And then I'm coming in about 1/8 of an inch from the original pattern line. I'm remaking a new pattern line, and I'm cutting that out so that you see, again, a little bit of perimeter around that paper. Again, I end up changing this paper later as well. But yeah, these wood shapes are really nice. The pumpkin shapes, very affordable. I get from Etsy.com. And these heart shapes, you all see me use these all the time, so you might want to get some. So I'm coming in with my sewing machine. I love to sew around my papers. Those of you new to my channel, I just sew on it like it's regular fabric. It's like a size 10 or 11 needle. Some people that have tried it, they've emailed me and said the holes are too big, so maybe go down to like a size 9 needle. You just have to play with it a little bit. If you're not a sewer but you want the look of sewing, you can take like an extra fine Sharpie marker. They come in different colors, and you can make little dash lines around the edges. This is what my sewing looks like. I don't care if it's straight or not. It just kind of gives it that country look. And I will continue this process on all my papers, including the tiny little papers for my heart and pumpkin. Now, heart and pumpkin at this point, which I forgot to say a minute ago, I'm not sure which one I want to use on my project, so I went ahead and I'm taking care of them both, but I end up using the heart at the end. All right, so now I'm gluing both my tag shapes together. So if you only have like one tag shape, one is fine. I just glued 2 together because I wanted the thickness, okay? And I'm taking Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Terracotta, and I'm going to go ahead and paint my main wood piece as well as my tag shapes all the way around. The back side, I paint it nice so it's all finished off. And then the front side, I just paint a little bit around the perimeter because, of course, we have paper to cover the center. Then, of course, for our tag shape, really only need to do around the edges and then around the perimeter of one side of the tag, because obviously the other side will be glued down. All right, before I glue my paper down, I like to take the open end of my scissor blades. I like to scrape along the edges of my paper, give it a little rustic look. And by doing this, it kind of gives us a little halo around the edge of our paper so that when we glue our paper down onto our wood shapes, it kind of allows that paper to kind of pop up off of the wood so it just doesn't lay flat and kind of blend into the wood, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so here I am. I'm painting my heart and my pumpkin because still at this point I'm not sure which one I want to place on my tag. Although I do, like I said, decide to use the heart, I come in with some smaller pumpkins. So I don't use the larger pumpkin. I come in with some smaller pumpkins. So off camera, I will paint a couple of the smaller pumpkins like I'm doing this larger pumpkin. So Dollar Tree has this cute beaded garland, all right, in their store now, at least new to our store. And I just took 4 of them off, the beads, and I'm going to paint 2 in the terracotta color. And then I will paint 2 in just a nice kind of dark brown shade. Once that's done, we're going to move into the quote portion of our project. I cut mine out in vinyl, and yes, I will have a free printable for you on my blog, link in my description box. I have a PDF for you. For those of you that don't have an electronic cutting machine, you can take that and print it onto your cardstock or your pretty paper first and then cut your paper out to fit your tag. Or if you do have electronic cutting machine, I will have a PNG for you. You have to clean out around the letters and that kind of thing, but you know, you can cut that out in whatever color vinyl you want. So of course I've got mine cut out and I'm going to transfer it on to my pretty paper first. A lot of you ask, like, how does it not tear your paper? The transfer sheet from Cricut is not a real heavy duty sticky paper, and if you just kind of wiggle it side to side nice and slow, it usually doesn't rip your paper. About 99% of the time it doesn't rip my paper. Once I've got my vinyl quote on there, I glued my paper onto my tag, and then I'm going to glue my brown cardstock. Here it is, changed my color onto my main sign base. And then I want something decorative around that tag hole. I found a package of these. I don't know what they are at Hobby Lobby in their unfinished wood section. You know, the packages of all the different wood shapes. So I'm going to glue this here for something decorative and fun. All right, and then I've got some really thick twine. I thread through that, and then I'm just adding some tape around the end to thread my beads through because, you know, this twine is a bigger diameter twine I get at Walmart, so I'll thread one of each color on each end. And then once I get those on there, I'm going to just tie a bow right at the top part of that wood shape there, and then I'll go ahead and glue my tag onto the base. And I'm using Beacon Fabri-Tac glue to glue this on here. It will hold perfectly wonderful for years, trust me. I'm going to glue it on just a slight angle for some fun. And then I'm going to tie a knot, figure out how long I want my tails, and tie a knot at the end of my beads, cut off the excess, and kind of smoosh the end there a little bit. I always like my tails one a little bit longer than the other just for some fun. And you could stop here, but here's what I thought. It needs a little something else, so I will add that in just a moment. First thing I'm going to do is, here's where I changed the paper on my heart. Remember I said earlier I just took that orange cardstock and I cut that out to fit my heart. And then I'm going to glue that onto my tag. And then here's my smaller wood shapes. I thought these pumpkin shapes would finish off the little bead detail at the bottom of the twine. So this is the pumpkins I went with. I actually cut these out using my laser, but I did find another Etsy listing that were 1-inch pumpkins, a 50 pack, around $4. I'll have the link down below for you, you know, of course, if you don't have a laser. Once I attach these pumpkins, that makes this project complete. Let's move on to our last project, number 3. For this project, I just hand you a fun half pumpkin shape. I will have a free PDF printable for you. It comes in 2 pages. I'll give you the sizes here. I wrote the instructions on there just in case you have to resize them a little bit. The length should be about 18¼ inches, and then the height from the bottom to the tallness of the stem should be about 7½ inches. Or whatever size you want. I am taking this outside. I'm going to cut it with my jigsaw. So I'm going to draw the pumpkin shape onto my wood first. I did have to kind of adjust the height of the stem a little bit. My wood wasn't quite as tall as I wanted, so my actual tallness of my pumpkin was like 7¼ versus 7½, but somewhere around there is perfectly fine. Once I draw this out, I'll take my jigsaw, of course, and begin cutting the shape out. Now, once I finish this side, because of the way I'm kind of cutting it off the end of a table, I found I kind of had to flip my wood over and then redraw the other side again to be able to cut it at this angle. You may not have to, it's just kind of the way I'm cutting it off of the edge of a table. So once I get that redrawn, of course, then I'll go ahead and cut that side out. Once that's done, this is what it looks like so far. It looks like a really nice kind of cute shape. And then I will come in and I will sand it both sides because I want to like stain it and paint it, of course, and then distress it outside. I'll do that off camera, sanding it again, and it gives me the option of which side I end up liking better after it's sanded. So I'm going to take this Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water, this Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Terracotta for my pumpkin. I'll start out with the wax mixed with water, and when I get to the stem, I bring in the Waverly wax full strength, not mixed with water, to kind of darken the stem a little bit, because we're, of course, going to leave that brown. And then once the Waverly Antique Wax mixed with water is painted on there and dried, and I do this to both sides, of course, I'm just showing one side here on camera, it's dried, I will come in with the terracotta paint over the top. And I did it this way so that when I do go to distress it, that Waverly wax is going to kind of come up around the edges of the terracotta paint to give us a nice rustic look. All right. Yeah, I really like how this looks. And I wanted kind of a half pumpkin, so it could be like, sit on a shelf. It could be like something out on your porch, by your door, anything like that. So here's what it looks like all distressed. You can see one side is distressed more than the other. It turned out I like this side better, so I'm going to go with that side. And then I use my laser to cut out some wood shapes here. I will have links down in my description box to videos and the laser I use and everything in case you're interested in going and checking that out and how to use the laser, that kind of thing. You could cut it out in vinyl here if you decide to do that. Yes, I have a free printable for you. It'll be a PDF and a PNG because maybe you want to take like some carbon paper with the PDF version, and then you can take some paint markers or some paint and then paint your letters in. Just wanted to give you a couple of options in case you don't have a laser. Other option is like Dollar Tree has woodwords like this. I've seen woodwords at Hobby Lobby, and Joann's would look really cute on this pumpkin as well. So lots of options for you, okay? I'm going to go ahead and glue my letters down. I'm using Beacon Fabri-Tac glue again. Works wonderful. I'll just kind of start in on the pumpkin word. I wanted kind of a combination of cursive and straight print for my quote on here, just so, it would give it a little bit of personality, of course. I'm just wiping all the extra glue strings around the letters. So finish up my pumpkin word. I've got the green tape down here, of course, if you haven't, understood that, so I could line my letters up nice and evenly across the bottom. The hello there, I'll just kind of, eyeball that, of course. All right, get that on there, and then we'll get the hello there at the top. I designed the hello there so that you knew the long of the T would just kind of fit to the left of that pumpkin word, so you kind of knew where the shapes fit in there a little bit better. So I actually designed these with some intention in mind to help you kind of fit the words together nicely. Get that on there. Of course, take the green painter's tape off. I use another heart here. Again, these are from craftingwithkimber.com, and cut some paper out just like we did in the first and second project, or the second project, not the first. The first was a pillow. Glue the paper onto our wood, and then I'm taking some of that thicker twine again that I get at Walmart, wrapping it around the stem twice, kind of gluing it into place, and then I'm going to add some of this moss here. Just a little bit, kind of right under the bow to kind of give us a little bit more of that rustic. And then I'm going to go ahead and finish tying that twine into the bow, and I'm going to glue it a little bit under that knot there so it kind of stays in place, holds the twine in, etc. I'm going to use my crocodile tool here to put a little hole into our wood heart, and I'm going to use this bulb pin here, like light bulb. You can get these at Amazon. Walmart has them in the sewing section. Some Walmarts do. Anyway, I'm going to pin that heart to the center of the bow, and then I'm going to cover that top ensemble up. I'm going to take some brown paint mixed with water, dip a fan brush into it, wipe off the excess, and I'm just add a little bit of splatters, just kind of around the words a little bit, not all over, just to kind of give a silhouette around the words, okay? And then once I do that, that makes this project complete. So I hope you like all the fall projects I came up with today. If you did, right now, this very instant, please hit that thumbs up button. And let me know down in the comments which project you like best. I know it's always the same question, but I'm just always curious which ones you like best to see if it matched my favorite, which I think, is a tie between the pumpkin here and the first project, the pillow. If you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out and you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another video from me. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final, slightly lengthy thought. Sometimes you see what's only in front of you with the situation you are in. You see the physical, the tangible, what's obvious, and what you can actually wrap your mind around in your thought process of how to get through what you are going through. But Jesus sees what isn't there to you, and he knows exactly what is possible and what steps you need to take to walk through what is happening in your life. He's able to look beyond the reasonable, let go of the tangible, and guide you to the miracle you need. You see, when you try to fix something yourself, you weigh the pros and cons, you come up with a possible solution. However, in the end, the solution might have not been the right one, but you made it through, hobbling just slightly on one leg because you tripped and fell along the way. You didn't see the obstacles. You only saw the finish line. It's in these types of situations that you need to lay down your pros and cons list and what you think you know and hand it over to Jesus with every ounce of trust that you have. You have to believe without a doubt that Jesus knows something you don't. He sees something you don't. He sees those obstacles and exactly where you need to sidestep around them. He's calculated the risks, weighed the options, moved the twigs in the path, and he's laid out the perfect plan to get you to that finish line without tripping over something. It's a hard thing to let go of what you know and blindly hand over trust to what you don't. It's hard to surrender your control and be vulnerable to what you don't have control over. But if you want success in what you are facing, if you want healing in your life, then you have to be comfortable with allowing Jesus to move you forward in His way and in His knowledge. Jesus can't move in your life when you're trying to hang on to what you have by yourself. It's like saying you don't trust all that Jesus can do for you. You need to surrender and abandon the thought that you have the situation under control. You must be willing to just not depend on the obvious of what you think you can fix. You must be willing to allow Jesus to show you the way through what you cannot dictate or see. Jesus isn't willing that you should perish. He isn't willing to allow the enemy to take you down. He will not reject you or turn you away. He will honor your surrender and gently partner with you with His protection and guidance to show you a better path to the finish line. Do not allow the fear of the unknown to keep you from believing that Jesus can and will do all things to keep you safe in your situation. You don't have to face this alone. Allow what Jesus has in mind for you to prepare the way for the miracle He has in store for you. Let go of the tangible and be willing to listen. Be patient in faith and surrender to trusting God's provision for your current race. Allow God to bring the healing you need. Allow Him to bring your miracle. Allow Him to take control. It can't get any simpler than that. Let go and let God. Otherwise, you may just find yourself getting in His way, and your tangible, controllable plan won't add up to lending itself to working so well for you. Remember, God sees what you can't see. Allow Him the honor of your next move so that the way to the finish line ends up with His perfect plan for your life. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.